to welcome everyone to the conversation where we talk about everything Cowboys. My favorite team, your favorite team, America's team. Here with your host, Coach Marv.
Cowboy Nation, how are you doing today, man? How everyone is doing on this rainy Friday? We got a rainy Friday and had a long week, long, crazy week. And I just wanted to step in here for a little while. A lot of my content creators that I work with, and
Cowboy Nation,
how are you doing? Sorry, that I deal with. Probably gonna be coming in on this Memorial Weekend Friday. A lot of people have a lot of stuff planned for the weekend. Me myself, Coach Marv, he has nothing planned. Has a relative is in the hospital, and what I plan on doing this weekend is watching sports and watching some movies and relaxing, man. They had a lot of stuff going on financially in the last couple of weeks that trying to sit my butt down a little bit and recuperate a little bit. But I wanted to come in, man. I know a lot of people is probably watching that great series in NBA. It's one of the best series, and I'm gonna get a little bit watch a little bit of myself. But I just wanted to come in and step in and talk to you about some things. And I think a lot of people that has other teams, other football teams, even some of these people I'm on Facebook today. So there's some people in Facebook Live. I wanted to go on Facebook Live to see if how that would that work. Hopefully on live on Facebook Live. If anybody's in the Facebook chat, I don't know if I got it. I don't know if it's live in the Facebook chat or not. I don't know if I'm actually on the Facebook chat. It may still be. It might be at a point where it's not live on Facebook. If it's live on Facebook, I would love for my people out there that hadn't got a chance to see me on Facebook Live, tune in on Facebook Live and get a chance to come in and deal with me on the Facebook side, if that's possible. Give me a thumbs up if you on Facebook. If you can see me on Facebook, give me a click in and give a comment or something, so I can try to recognize you if you're on Facebook. And tuning in on how we're coming in and doing Cowboy shows. If you're on Facebook Live and if I'm seeing you on Facebook, if you go over to the Cowboy Coach Marv Real Talk, you'll see I got 39. I got Coach Marv Real Talk. I got a watch list where I done did about 239 videos, little shorts, video shorts, a lot. So and you go on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter at Coach Marv 1914. My channel is specialized in Cowboy talk, but really I'm going to talk about football in a real sense. For people that may have known me, they know I don't like to be. I'm not one of those Cowboy fans that's a crazy type of Cowboy fan. That's not a realistic type of Cowboy fan. So some of the stuff that I come with you is based off of how things are how things really are. And and I try to give you to you straight with no chase, and give you with based off of former player, former coach, and give it to you in those type of terms that we're gonna learn football. We're gonna talk about stuff that they talking behind the scenes, not in front of the camera. But if you're looking at my name of my show here is Cowboy Nation Distractions. Distractions are not needed. And we got, you're at what we call a dead period in the NFL. This is when OTAs are starting, when the first couple OTAs are starting around the NFL. So went through, like I have said before, went through a couple of the parts of a season. Your first thing that happened is when the season is first over, you go through the Super Bowl, then everybody's looking for new coaches. The hiring and the firing coaches. Then after that, the teams that get new coaches and teams that getting rid of coordinators like the Cowboys did. The Cowboys got a defense coordinator. They went through this big search and got a defense coordinator. Then we went through this whole big process of what we call coaches carousel. New coaches staff, new defensive coordinator, offensive coordinators, other teams, so many different teams got coaches. So now what you do it's a everybody's trying to find the fit to put their staffs together. People getting promoted. Sometimes we got GMs being gone. So the first part is getting the staffs and the coaching stuff together. Then you be moved into free agency. Then it was first round free agency, and everybody went through all that with the free agency. Then you had, the free agency calmed down, people picking up players, picking up pieces for their team. Because before you go in the draft, you always want to have a starting lineup before you go in the draft. Now, is that starting lineup a perfect starting lineup? No. Is that lineup going to be your all-star lineup? No. But you want to be able, if you go into the draft and you looking for a specific player, if you get locked out because you can't get to that player, and you may have to take the second best player, or you don't even get any of the players that's on your board, that you can say, okay, we can start the season, or we could go back in the free agency, but we can start the season from where we at. You want to have at least somewhat of a starting unit before you go in. Now, that might not be the best starting unit, but you want to be able to go into the draft saying that we have the foundation of a team. Then we start going through the combine season, and after that, we start going through the draft things, and went through all this stuff about the visits, and everybody had all the speculations about who they're going to draft, why they should draft this person, all that. So it was a big uproar about that. So when we get to the draft, and we actually have the draft, and then we get the first round picks, the second round, we go through the whole draft, and we get the draft, then we start doing evaluations of who we got, what player we got, and we start looking into the players. Then right after the draft, we go into the second part of what we call the acquisition of players, and that's the undrafted free agents, which is in the NFL is one of the biggest acquisition days. The day after the draft is over, soon after the draft is over, most likely guys are starting to get called when the second day of the draft comes, because people start falling on the board. You can kind of project who's not going to be in that 230, 240 guys is picked. And so you starting to kind of jockey yourself and get in touch with the agents and say, hey, if he's not drafted, we want him. What type of contract, what kind of signing bonus we can do to get you to come with us, and we can fill out. What we're trying to do now is we're trying to fill out our 90-man roster for training camp. And we got to remember, all teams only have 90 players that they can bring to training camp. And remember what I said on one of my shows before. To win a Super Bowl is going to take you about 74 to 75 players. You said, well, hold on, Coach. What you mean by that? There's only 55. Yes, it's going to be 55. It's going to be on your main roster. I think you got 15 guys that you can sign practice squad players. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. If anybody out there in the chat, if you want to correct me if I'm wrong on that. But those players that you sign on the practice squad, they could be picked up from some other team. Somebody can come and sign them on the active man roster. So You're gonna switch some more teams. There's gonna be some more guys that's gonna be let go. You're gonna pick them up. So basically, in a whole year, you're probably gonna be looking at about 75, maybe 75, almost 80 players that's gonna get you through the year. So that's a lot. That's not a lot of players when you talk about college football programs where they have like 85 scholarships and then they have walk-ons. So they may have 100 players. That's kind of small when you're talking about the NFL and the viciousness of the NFL. That amount of players is not the most of players is going to be what's going to have to carry through the year. So there's a lot of jockeying of movement of players at the end of the rosters. Every year, 25% of every team roster changes. So the back end of your roster changes. The average shelf life, average playing life for a player, I think is still about 4 years. That's basically maybe 5 years. It's still about 4 years, maybe 5 years. I'm not ready, but it's not much more than that. And usually that's what? That's the length of your first rookie contract. Because all contracts go 4 years, your first rookie contract. Except for the first round draft picks, they get that fifth year. But all the rest of them are 4 years. So if the lifespan of a player is 4 years, most of the players are changed out after their first contract. Not many players get number 2 contracts. So if it's 100%, out of 100% of the players that come out of college, they say only 1 to 2% make it in the NFL. All right. Then out of that 1 or 2%, there's only probably about 20 to 30% that get a big second contract. So the chances it gets the group gets smaller and smaller. So we have to look at our Cowboy Nation. We have to look at it as this. There are things now. We're going into the next realm of we got our 90-man roster almost. Now we're going into the thing of getting into the last advanced OTAs. So we starting to put stuff on the grass. And now we got to start saying, okay, we trying to lock in our 90-man roster. Also, but we got to be very careful that we leave some slots open and we leave some things open before we guarantee money to guys, because we don't know if we may have better options because people might get cut. So sometimes I understand what you're saying. Sometimes you got to pause on, and I hate to use that word pause, and I know y'all gonna use the bad negative connotation on that, but sometimes you got to pause on certain situations because you don't know, or you may be getting the word that somebody else might be released because their training camp situation might not fit them. So that's why you have to be very careful of how you roll when it comes to those type of situations. And sometimes teams do that because they know that the situation might be a little different if they wait and they wait until they get their guy, and they can get their guy someplace else, and they can be like, okay, we can pick this guy and put him on our roster. So sometimes they don't jump on a player at this time when we think they should, because they're like, hey man, we can maybe get this guy at a later date. So that's why I think sometimes, and the reason I'm saying this is I'm saying this because of the Nick Chubb situation. And I know some people saying, well, coach, what you mean by the Nick Chubb situation? Well, I'm saying about the Nick Chubb situation because the Nick Chubb situation is a very it fits in what I was just saying. Nick Chubb, very good backup running back. I know a lot of people out there pushing for him because I had pitched for about the running back situation. I think we do need a backup, another a veteran running back. But I'm not counting out. I'm not disclaiming. I'm not saying that Maffa and Blue are done. And you know what I always say, that opportunity makes stars. There's new stars being made every day, and there is no guarantee in football. And when you start talking about getting a guy that's a backup, that's a veteran guy that's now starting to turn into a journeyman backup guy, and he can't really stay with any other team because he's a journey backup guy, you got to be very careful about that, because you would think you may be getting a guy that got some juice, and you might be worse off with him than you are with the rookie. And I understand what you're saying. I understand people out there saying, well, no, coach, we're talking about the veteran leadership. But yes, he may have veteran leadership, but he might be done because he's not expensive, and we starting to move him around. And I always say this: the place where he's at, if they don't have a running attack, they seen some things and say, hey man, this guy might not got. So you don't want to invest in that early. You may want to invest in that if it's a emergency situation, because you never know. The Cowboys may think they may try this thing early on with these other guys, but they may have wind that maybe a Kamara might be cut. Somebody that's a bigger name, better player might be let go because there's some training camp whispers going on. So you got to sometimes hold a little bit, because there's a lot of stuff that's being said around town that you can't, you don't want to say, oh, we don't sit here and gave signed Chubb and gave him a guaranteed contract, because there's a veteran. You got to understand, these veteran guys, once they go past 1-2 weeks, their contract is guaranteed. So they're savvy when they sign their contract. If you bring them in, they're gonna be like, they might not be expensive, but they might hold you to they get about $2 or $3 million, $3-4 million out you, because they're savvy with this. So you can hold off on it, and we hadn't even started training camp. So we don't jump on Chubb now. Man, that's all right, fine. Let's give the guys a chance, man. Listen, I just think the first running back is there. What we're trying to find, and as I said before, I believe I am with you on all the people that's wondering. I'm dead with you about having a tandem at running back, right? But let's give these guys a chance, because they probably could be a tandem. Like I said, stars are being made every day. There's guys that turned into stars last year for New England and Seattle that nobody said they were going to be stars at the beginning of the year. So in certain cases, we're going to have to make stars. And sometimes these guys may turn out to be okay. But that's not a distraction. That's something that's good. Bad distractions. If anybody, this is unusual. I usually get some comments. If anybody's in the chat, if someone's in the chat, man, if it's some people out there that commenting, send some comments out. If anybody's out there, man. Usually I have some people in Twitter. Yeah, I don't have nobody in Twitter either. Yeah, if you got some people that's commenting, man, I would love for people to come in and comment. If it's somebody out there that's if somebody's out there, man, please comment. Come in and comment on the show. I would love to hear someone, to see some comments, because usually I get some comments in on the show, and I don't know. I'm trying something new when I'm trying to go into Facebook Live, and maybe I probably messed up my whole routine with comments and chat in the chat box, trying to do something new. But we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna roll with it. Second thing I want to talk about when we talk about distractions. let's see if I can get my stuff up here. Let me see if we can get this up. I wanted when I talked about distractions are not needed. And I want to preface this when I talk about distractions. This is the time for distractions. This is the time. There's no time for distractions, but this is the time that distractions are starting to be put in place, and a certain part of distractions are starting to be put in place with your organization that can fester to bring the focus off of what we need to do. If you ever heard anybody say this, if you want to stop focus, cause distractions. And if you want to stop distractions, get focused. Okay? And we should understand by this world today of how things are in this economy and in this world that we're being bombarded with distraction stuff that have nothing to do with certain things, but they're distracting. And we have a lot of distractions. We got some distractions brewing with our Cowboy Nation, right? And a lot of these distractions are brewing because of the ownership. And if y'all remember my last show, I said the one thing I hate about the Joneses is when they start playing this dumb game about being arrogant and being when they start talking about stuff they have no business talking about. When they start making comments and having interviews and having stuff and Jerry and Steven get to talking when they have really no reason for them to talk about certain things. Really, they just be quiet about certain things. They can kind of calm the oceans on stuff, and we can not have it be as much of a distraction. But when the Joneses get into this tip about they want to talk and want to give their position and kind of bolster and seem like they so bad, that's when I started saying that they're this. And let me share my screen with you if I got it still up. And this is when I start saying what the Joneses do that's really hurts Mr. Schottenheimer and his ploy to get to what he needs to do. This right here hurts. If you can see my screen, I hope I shared it enough where you can see my screen. This is what gets on my nerves. This is where the Joneses start to be a distraction to the Cowboys. Jerry and Stephen Jones, Cowboy star. This is when they make their star. The Cowboy star this is what it means to them when they start talking, when they shouldn't have to talk. That's when they get stuck on the microphone, when they always want to be or give their 2 cents about stuff that they really don't have, and the only thing they're doing is starting distraction. This is when Jerry says we try to push the envelope and start distractions. This is when I hate the organization. This is when I hate the organization because to win football games, you have to have the least amount of distractions so you can stay focused. And if you look at my chart here was the star, the Cowboy star. And the star stands for stubborn, tumultuous, arrogant reactions. This is when the Jerry them be tripping. They do it. They turn themselves into the star, and they turn themselves into stubborn. They're very stubborn about always having to have something to say. Always need to be the one to come be in the limelight. Always want to have to say that we standing 10 toes down on stuff and trying to prove that they're running the show. Then the tumultuous. Tumultuous, they loud, erratic, always, you don't know, it's always off culture. It's always something that they saying for shock value that's got nothing to do with winning football, but against the stars of distraction. Then they're arrogant. They're arrogant because they feel that they can say anything and they can talk and they think that that's really helping. And the more and more that doesn't help, their arrogance show even more. And their reactions. They're reacting to stuff that they don't need to react to. They need to let Schottenheimer have this team, keep as many distractions down for this team. I've always said this. When you talk about ownership, when ownership of a football program, I'll tell you this. I like Pittsburgh. I don't like the team, damn the team. But one thing I can say about the Rooneys, they try to keep they try not to start any other distractions, whatever distractions come from the team, but they try to not make any other ways, and they try to keep the distractions to the minimum. They try to keep the main thing the main thing. Kansas City, same thing. They let Andy Reid, they keep the main thing the main thing. Anything that comes about that they feel is going to be a distraction to this team, they try to get rid of it. This type of star at the bottom of here, this type of star, when the Cowboy ownership is acting this way, makes distractions. It kills football focus. It kills football focus. And the distractions are, listen, I've always said, and like I was just about to say, I equate being an ownership and a GM to the principal of a school. And you say, well, what you mean by that, coach? What you mean by being a principal of the school? What you saying about being a principal of a school and being a coach? You say, what are you talking about when you talking about being the principal of a school and being a head football coach? Well, one thing about a head football coach and a principal of a school is, if anybody y'all went to school, your teachers and your principal, the main thing that their job is to create an atmosphere for learning. The principal of a school, the main job of them is to create an atmosphere for learning. And then when you go to the classroom, the leader of the classroom is to make sure that the classroom is an atmosphere for them to get the stuff they need to get across. And anything that causes distraction in there or being disrupted, they supposed to get rid of it. When Joe Clark, the famous Lean On Me movie, what did Joe Clark do? He came in and tried to change the atmosphere from getting the school painted to trying to stop the gangs, to getting rid of some students that were ruling. He came in to try to change at first the atmosphere for learning so you could learn and get your job, and the focus could be on what? Learning. Well, great ownership, great GMs, they try to make sure that there's not as many distractions that they cause. They cut down distractions so that coaches can coach, the players can play. And the less distractions they have, the more focused they're on their job, and the better results we're going to get. But our ownership sometimes cause distractions, which takes away from the focus of the work. So what they did lately that's star related, right? That's stubborn, tumultuous, arrogant reaction. The George Pickens thing. I say it again, and let me give you my stance again. I know some people are gonna say, Coach, I'm tired of your stance because you don't give your stance, because I want to make sure I'm clear that people are clear on my stance. First, CeeDee Lamb is the best receiver on this football team. He has earned that right. He played that right. He has earned that right over time, and he's put in numbers. If he doesn't get hurt, and I will say this for a fact, if CeeDee Lamb doesn't miss 4 games, George Pickens does not make the All-Pro. Is that a slam to George Pickens? No. George Pickens is a very talented wide receiver. George Pickens had a very good year. But CeeDee Lamb is the best wide receiver on this football team. And I believe the Cowboys feel, I believe Schottenheimer feels, I believe the offensive coordinator feels, I believe the ownership feels that CeeDee Lamb is the best wide receiver on this team. So my point here to say is, I'm not paying George Pickens more than my best wide receiver. That's dysfunction. Okay? All right. That's the first thing. But this is what I don't think when I say the Cowboys are being stubborn. What are you doing, Cowboys? Why are you shading this on about we don't know we're gonna put up with him, we don't know, we don't trust him, and all this stuff? Why? If you feel he's a number 2 guy and all this stuff about this 2 number 1, there ain't no damn 2 number 1. There ain't no 2 number 1s in the house. There ain't no 2 number 1 quarterbacks. There ain't no 2 number 1 coaches. This is just crazy. But why talk about that? Just tell people that, or tell him that we got the best. We'll probably have one of the best tandems. We'll probably got one of the best number twos. Probably could be a number 1 on another team if you have to move into the role to be a number 1 because we need him at a certain time. We feel good about that. But this is CeeDee Lamb team. Fine. Offer him a contract. Don't go in there and say the tumultuous, arrogant stuff that we ain't going to negotiate with him. Do like a friend of mine said, Mr. Boss Cowboy said, at least try to negotiate with the guy and offer the guy something. Say you tried. And if you want to be public, say it. Tell people, say, hey, the job for number 1 wide receiver is not open here. Okay. Who gonna argue with you there? Okay. That's what I think the Cowboys should have done. But now handling with this type of way and just say we just gonna franchise tag and we gonna say, oh, we gotta prove your point and see how if he gonna do good this year, we're gonna prove it, and then we'll make money the next time. Listen, let me say what the we rule is here when they say that. Let me tell you what George Pickens already knows. Let me tell you what George Pickens' agent already knows. And let me tell you what the Cowboys are banking on, and what they're banking on is house money. CeeDee Lamb doesn't get hurt and he plays 17 games. George Pickens is not going to have the stats he had last year. If the defense is better, George Pickens is not going to have the opportunity to have no 1,400 yards next year. He's going to be great, but he's not going to have the numbers for him to say, now we got to pay you more. Duh. They're banking that their number 1 wide receiver is going to have a great year. And George is going to have a great year, but not a mega year. So he's going to be in the same spot. So his agent is probably asking for saying, his agent, I'm not wrong with his agent. His agent probably said George is the next man up. No, and that again, let me say what I agree with and what I don't agree. George Pickens is not the next guy up. Every guy that got to be the next guy up put in multiple years of dominance and being the number 1 guy on their team. Then they got their pay. He's not a $40 million wide receiver. And for me, if I was another team, if he went with the Cowboys, if he was coming and we was the one trying to sign him, we'll be asking the exact same question. See, as I said before, the Cowboys, listen, we know something, we don't know something. We can't say, we'll be dumb to say that everything was perfect in Dallas with Pickens. And we were crazy to say that. It might have been, right? But they're playing the leverage of their cards. George Pickens' agent is doing what he's supposed to ask for him. He's probably saying, hey, man, we want number 1 wide receiver money because we'll offer what that job is taken. And when I ask people this, they get to stuttering. And then I hear some people tell me, well, George got the potential to be better. See? I mean, that potentially. And I ask people to be very honest with themselves. If CeeDee Lamb is not out 4 games, if I am not mistaken, either CeeDee Lamb was leading when he got hurt, leading receiver when he got hurt, or it was real tight. But I think he was leading. Come on, man. This is no slam to Pickens. But his agent knows this. His agent trying to get strike while the iron is hot. His agent know who that beast is over there, CeeDee Lamb. He understands that he's not in a situation where he is going to get in a situation where he's going to get multiple numbers and outshine the other guy. Okay. Now I ask y'all this question. Same thing question. It's not, and I'm not trying to debate nobody. But if CeeDee Lamb is CeeDee Lamb, and we pay George Pickens $35, $36 million, $40 million, and CeeDee Lamb has his year, what y'all gonna say when CeeDee Lamb have a better year than George Pickens and he's getting paid $6 million more? What distractions is that gonna have in Dallas? Let me tell you what y'all fan base, what we gonna do. We're gonna blow that all the way out the water because we're gonna have the other people outside blowing it all out the water. You're gonna be every game instead of focusing on winning. We're gonna be focusing on who getting the most targets. If I'm lying, I hope I am, but I guarantee you. And know who's gonna cause that? It's us. Now I'm about to say something else that may make a lot of other people mad. It'll be better to go ahead and go with Flournoy and get another guy in here to go with two receivers if we're going to have that type of distraction. Not just the distraction of what Pickett's going to give it, the distraction that we're going to do because we're going to always say that we're going to be trying to prove that the Joneses are wrong for not signing, and they're going to say, oh, man, he need to get these targets. Oh, he need to get that target. Oh, he needs to get this target. And you know who's going to take all that heat that's going to be a distraction to him? And he don't even understand it yet, Mr. Dak Prescott. It's going to be totally, see, he's going to have to be feeding not only the egos of the receivers, which may not be as good, but they're going to be, those egos are going to get fed by the outside people that's going to keep on hounding about who's supposed to get that. That guy's supposed to get that. Jordan should have signed George Pickens. Oh, why didn't they give him? He's got to make his money. Oh, you're not throwing the ball to him because he's in contract. You don't want to sign it. You're trying to keep his money down. Oh, he's better than CeeDee Lamb. That's going to go on all season long. Messiness. And those are distractions that take away from focus. And if you think that we can get through that, and oh, it ain't going to be no problem. Just like I said this, I agree when people talking about numbers. I didn't do a show about that. I kind of push back on the numbers thing because I say, hey man, let these guys earn their numbers, right? But I understand guys play better when they have their numbers. I understand that is the truth. But this distraction here is the exact same thing. If you don't think that you think they can get through this and that not hurt us in the locker room, you got a sad mistake. This is what kills me when we start giving young people so much credit that they can deal with distractions until we see it happen in real time. And then we be like, well, it's somebody else's fault. If you want them to focus and get a championship, eliminate distractions. The Joneses started distraction because they didn't go out and say it like it was. If you want him here, yes, you got to offer him a nice contract, but you have to understand, put it in this place. But you know what you do? You don't say something, then you say sly remarks, stuff you ain't got no business saying. Stubborn, tumultuous, arrogant reactions. And that's when I don't like them at the start. Everything is causing distractions. And remember, distractions has been the Achilles heel to us for 30 damn years. We got so much. We are the most seen, the most talked about, the most reactionary team in the league. And what happened is, as somebody said, I heard somebody say this, be careful because the stuff you hate, you start acting like. You hate Jared them being messy? Now, some people think that this could be a distraction. This distraction can kill us. No, this distraction gets us off focus. And I've told you what's the problem without this team. What's going to hurt this team more than anything. And I don't think it's going to hurt the defense. I think it's going to hurt the offense. And I have told you what it is, and I've showed you 1,000 times. And I'll put it on the screen again, so y'all can be able to see what I've told you. That's going to be our main culprit of our kryptonite to destroy this offense. Complacency. Because we're going to be thinking about what George Pickens is getting. Is he going to be happy? How we get that distraction? But that's not putting together a plan to be better. Because contrary to y'all belief, this offense gets to be stopped by good defense. We just think, oh, well, we got this guy. That's fantasy football. I watched them when they had everybody go 3 and outs in crucial situations. Not because they don't have the players, because they're jumping off sides. They're putting themselves behind the 8 ball. Somebody did a missed block. Sometimes we run stupid plays. Sometimes we put ourselves behind the sticks. All those things, we have to be better this year because defense is coming at us. And we're going to be complacent because we got distractions about stuff that has nothing to do with winning and losing. I have never seen a team win was cut, and they say we won this game because of the contract the guys got. I ain't never seen nobody win a game because it was, oh well, he got his contract, he happy now. There's a role for Pickens. There might be a big play role, big play wide receiver Pickens. I believe Pickens is a big play wide receiver. But there's a difference. Big play wide receivers and number 1 wide receivers are not the exact same. There's guys in this league for years that were big play guys, but they could not hold the mantra of being the guy that leads the room, do all the work, do the dirty work, have multiple jobs. I don't know if that's Pickens because he had his chance. And instead of making excuses about why a chance didn't work, because of the offense, because of the quarterback. This is what I'm saying. And I'm not going with the Cowboys say they got to test them out for another year. Listen, they're playing the cards that they got. But those cards are playing it that way in certain cases is a distraction. And they're not trying to pit two against each other. And then somebody told me the other day, said, well, CeeDee Lamb say they're 2 number 1s, and whatever he gets, that's what he's supposed to get. And CeeDee ain't gonna have no problem with that. What's CeeDee supposed to say, man? What they supposed to say when they talking about another man, man? What they supposed to say? If he got the dog in him, ain't no way. I heard Michael Irvin talking about, man, listen here. Michael Irvin would let you go get what's the guy the guy the Heisman Trophy winner from Notre Dame, Brown. Michael Irvin said, man, don't draft him. Don't bring him here, the Cowboy Nation. Come on, man. Real number 1s ain't, hey, listen here. That ain't how it goes. And I keep saying about Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. Let me tell you how the Kansas City Chiefs keep distractions down. And having less distractions got them 2 Super Bowl back-to-back victories. Less distractions. Okay, let's put it like this. Less distractions, less talent. Right? But less distractions got them to 2 Super Bowls. Tyreek Hill, I keep bringing that up because it's a great story. Tyreek Hill comes up, the extension time coming up. He wants the extension. He's still signed. He tells the story. Kansas City offered him a deal. he said that deal was good, but he thought he can get more. So they said, okay, go out and solicit other deals, and you get a better deal. Now he wasn't on a franchise tag. You didn't have a franchise no tag when the communication is there, and a guy wants to stay there, and you already open from the start with. Cowboys need to take note of that. So they said, hey, go out and find a trade. He goes out to try to find a trade. He tells the story. I'm not making this up. This is what he tells. He said he goes out. He goes, I think he went to 2 teams, and 2 teams gave him an offer. Only thing Kansas City say is, bring it back to us and see if we can match it. If we can't, we'll work a trade out. He comes back with an offer from, I think it was the Giants or something. Then he come back with the Miami offer because that's more. They said, okay, man, we can't. They already had a price range. He said the deal was good, but the Kansas City had a structure of what they're going to pay. I ain't got no problem with that. That's how they keep their team in line and keep it where they need to go for what they need to do. That's business. That's good football business. We wouldn't be able to do that in Cowboy land because we expect everybody to get paid top dollar. That's our fan base. But their ownership is doing what I say you're supposed to do. Let's cut the distractions out. They knew that Tyreek Hill being a guy that's not on the extension was going to be a disgruntled guy. They don't need to have that story all year long. They don't need to have that distraction. Even though he's a good player, but that distraction takes away from the team focus. So what they do is, he comes with the thing with Miami, they go ahead and make a deal with Miami. They probably could have got a better deal. They go ahead and make a deal, get him down the road. What happens? He goes to Miami and has one of the best seasons in the history of football. Remember that year? Tyreek will tear the thing up. And guess what else? Kansas City go win 2 Super Bowls back to back. Their offense is not explosive. They rise their defense up. They said, we're going to have a better defense. We don't need as much scoring. Duh. Don't that sound like the Cowboys? If your defense is better, you don't need 2 wide receivers. Their defense got better. They didn't need Tyreek Hill. He didn't fall off the boat. He went and had an extraordinary year in Miami. But guess what? They won the Super Bowl. Let's go to Philadelphia. Y'all want to talk about Philadelphia? Remember the Son Reddick in Philadelphia? Everybody was talking about he was compared to Michael Parsons. Remember the year he had 12 sacks and they were talking about how great he was and how good he was, the Son Reddick, and he was Bill's sack leader. Guess what? The year before they won a Super Bowl, they traded the Son Reddick because they weren't going to give him no extension. They knew he was going to be disgruntled. They'd rather get rid of the distraction than to have 13, 14 sacks. And guess what they did? They get a #1 defense without Son Reddick, and they win the Super Bowl. But if we say do something like that, guess what we'll be saying? Oh, we can't do it without it. We can't win without it. There ain't no way in the world we can do it without Pickens. We got to have it. We are a bling bling fan base. We feel that we ain't got no shoes if they're not Louis Vuitton. We don't feel like we got no nothing on unless it's Prada, Louis Vuitton, whatever. It's name brand. If it ain't name brand, we don't want to wear it because we don't feel that we can get by without it. Then we say, all right, well, we want to be cheap, but you got a star already, and you can make stars every year. Every time you're gonna make stars, stars are made all the time. But we don't want to say that though. These are the facts. I ain't telling you anyone. Tell me that the Son Reddick didn't get traded from Philadelphia and they went and the defense got better and they won a Super Bowl. Wasn't he the best rusher? Everybody was talking about how great it was. Tell me that the Tyreek Hill goes from Kansas City to Miami and they don't win 2 back-to-back Super Bowls in Kansas City. This the Tyreek Hill. This ain't no diss to Sean Reddick. But the distractions was worse is getting rid of distractions for a little less talent is more productive. But this distraction came from the ownership. This distraction came from the ownership. And it's not because they don't want to pay him. It's not because they hadn't paid him. It's how they handle the situation. If they feel, and if they're telling you, and y'all nobody want to hear it, they're telling you that CeeDee Lamb is the best wide receiver of the football team. Because if they believe in their heart of heart that George Pickens was the best wide receiver on this football team, there will be no question that they'll already be set. But they feel, and listen, why shouldn't they feel that way? And they're betting on to say, hey, we'll get him next year because he's not going to make All-Pro next year because CeeDee Lamb will play 17 games. And guess what? If that dog plays 17 games, he don't make All-Pro this year. That don't say he don't have a great year for us in the role. And this is what I keep saying, and I'm going to say this again. And I know y'all don't hear me, but this is for young people. I want y'all to understand what y'all saying. And I want y'all, if y'all got any young people that y'all dealing with, that's high school, a great player, that's in anything that's, bud star. This is a great lesson for young people. I understand the situation might not have been what he wanted in Pittsburgh. He might have had that, but he could have handled certain things differently. By handling stuff and it's shown on film by just being a jerk sometimes, right? Got him traded. Yes, he got in a better situation, right? But it might have not been the better situation for him to get paid. See what I'm saying to you? The better situation for him to get the pay and the number one wide receiver was going through and doing what he's supposed to do in Pittsburgh and keeping that mantra there, and he would have been their number one. Well, yes, he went to another place with a better situation, a better quarterback, but he went to somewhere by being an a-hole. He went to somewhere that the position was already taken as number one. So now he got himself a number two. So he don't get the step up of the money that the next man up, because that's only for the best wide receiver on the football team. That's this point saying. So what the lesson you supposed to teach? Say, listen, ain't nobody telling to be no woods, but understand what you do now can hurt you later on. It didn't kill his money, but it lost him some. It didn't kill his money, but it did lose him some. He got a better situation, and guess what? There's no way in the world somebody can say that. Listen, man, CeeDee Lamb has put up numbers that they had not even put up in Dallas. And tell me who his number two was when you did that. We forget. That just kills me that we see a guy say, "Oh man, well he looks like he can do something. He got better." Listen, man. CeeDee Lamb put up numbers in Dallas where there's the best receiving years, one receiving year in Dallas in the history of Dallas. That's all. That's even the great Michael Irvin didn't put up that numbers. And guess what? Who was on the back end of that? When he had CeeDee Lamb put up numbers when Cooper Rush was quarterback. It made no difference. And we don't even know who the second wide receiver was. We don't even know who the second wide receiver was. But we get enamored because he played in Dallas. I'm not saying that about George Pickens, but I can say it like this. If you watch film on and see, now I'm going to make some people mad. Nobody's coming up and say, let's do some great film and see how well the route running and the tangibles of George Pickens was on the field. You know why they don't want to do that? Because they're going to see a lot of flaws. And listen, if you in Dallas with Dak Prescott, and see this what kills me. You in Dallas with Dak Prescott, you gonna be great. And see, this is another thing. And you got some skills. And I'm gonna tell you another thing that's really a travesty here. This George Pickens thing is still gonna reflect back the hate for Dak Prescott. If George Pickens played for Tom Brady, or George Pickens was at Patrick Mahomes, or he was with the Rams, or he had been with somebody else, or with some with one of these just San Diego, they'll be talking about the quarterback was great more than be talking about how good the wide receiver was. But here, it's just amazing to me, man. It's just amazing to me, and this is not if listen here, there's not an analyst out there. There's not a football guy out there. I guarantee you, they got the thing queued up, and they're waiting on you to sign George Pickens for more than CD Lamb, and then they're gonna come out with full blaze barrels and say, how did this guy, when you look at the year CD Lamb that had back to back. And the only reason this was a better year because he was out for 4 games, and all of a sudden now we have demoted him to number 2 because we see potential, and we talking about size and potential. Let me tell you something about football. If you don't know anything else about football, consistency and showing listen, it's some guys out there that got all the size, the potential in the world that ain't never touched the field and never can get into playing time. It's crazy, man. But we're gonna pay this guy when the other guy has showed you year after year, and then all of a sudden we're gonna say, well, potentially this guy could be better. I tell you, man. It's amazing. It's amazing, and I always say this, man. I remember, and I'm not dissing nobody on the live stream, but I do remember. I remember on the live stream for 2 years, everybody was talking about CeeDee Lamb in '88, and talking about '88. Is he gonna be an '88? Does he need to be number 1? Does he need to be number 1? And he kept putting up year after year. Then he put up better numbers. He put another year. Then they finally say that. Then I never seen when we talk about a guy that this in one season. And his numbers still ain't better than nowhere close to the guy number. CeeDee Lamb had what 1,800 yards and 12 or 13 touchdowns and 130 some receptions in that season. Now we're talking about concussions and all that. But listen, man. He's physically better. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of receivers that's physically better. Yeah, it's a lot of receivers that are physically better. I would say this. I'm gonna give you an instance that's physically better. Alma Harper was a better player than Michael Irvin. Bigger, faster, made some great plays. Was a big play wide receiver. That don't mean it's and the craziest thing about this. The craziest thing about this. Now I say this. And I say this with all hearted. It's the craziest thing I said like this. Nobody was talking about this guy was going to be the number 1 receiver and the best wide receiver in the league when we got him traded him for in the second round. I never. Everybody say how great potential is, but every guy that has been that's on that top of that Mount Rushmore of receivers, current receivers right now, and that current receivers one name of guys that's been number one wide receivers and put up outstanding numbers every year in year out, right? And it ain't that many. It's a couple of them, but that's Jefferson. Jefferson ain't had all the greatest quarterbacks anyway, but year in and year out, he put in 3 or 4 numbers. So when he got his number one money, he deserved it. He didn't do it wasn't no 1 year flash. It was multiple years. Lamar Chase, multiple years. Matter of fact, TJ Higgins, has had better numbers than George Pickens ever had. Consecutive years. And he's taking the number 2 slot. And he's just as big and faster. But we say, and he done put up great numbers with not even good quarterbacks. Because Joe Burrow been hurt most of the time. Let's call spade a spade. We explain it in that situation. We got to explain it in every situation. Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua is about to be the next guy. Let's talk about it. Look at his numbers for 2 or 3 years. And he does everything. He blocks, he catches, he runs the ball. It's more than about being the number one wide receiver than just being athletic. Right? You got to lead the room. And when you mean but you got to lead the room, that means you got to be able to, the leader to show them what to do is to sacrifice to do everything to win the lead the room. You're the example. I'm not saying without offense, without GP, without CD Lamb, has always averaged in the top 3. Long Dak Prescott was healthy all year. If I'm lying, our offense every year has been a good enough win. We act like we were CP, we were 7-9. And there was games that we didn't do well. And the reason why we do well is because we had some games that we didn't have CD Lamb. We act like the offense is dead because we got to have. I tell you, man. I don't think we watch the same football. We watch the same football. I just think we just living in hype. Because if he was someplace else, there's no way in the world we'll be talking about getting it. We'll be acting the same way. If he did the same thing, some other team, and he came out of Pittsburgh and he had that team, and let's say he went to Detroit. Detroit got him last year. And their best wide receiver, what's the guy, the best wide receiver in Detroit? He's not no physical presence either. He ain't bigger, but he put up hell of a numbers. He's hard to stop. Right? And he goes there, and that guy's down for 3 or 4 games, and then he gets some plays, and he gets that. No, we were talking about signing him, and he was on board market. First thing our Cowboy fans be saying, well, he just got those numbers because the other guy got said, is he really gonna do that another year? But nah, we starstruck. We think we can't win. I can guarantee you right now. We see what Florinos do. We act like that was just a fluke. Well, let me say this: you give Florinos more targets, he might put up the time he did get targets, he put up 100 yards. And what's the common denominator in that? Your quarterback, Dak Prescott. And I think he believes in that. Now, if you sign if some people out there, and listen, I'm not, I say I will give him the bacon. If that's your opinion, but I guarantee, I'll put it like this: if you sign CD George Pickens, what is going to be the controversy when CD Lamb goes back to being the guy that's catching the most passes and dominate? Because then you're gonna say what? No, what you're gonna do? We're gonna be those same Cowboy fans that's gonna start controversy because we're gonna want to be right. And guess what that's gonna get us? another year of sitting around arguing about and crying about stuff that ain't got nothing to do. Oh yeah, Shaq and Kobe. Yeah, Shaq and Kobe. That's you right. And guess what Kobe had to understand? Guess what Kobe had to understand? And as Kobe got better, guess what Kobe had to understand? Kobe had to understand what? That the number one guy in LA, that job was already taken. He had to fall back to be number two. There ain't no problem with him. And when it got to the point, see, here we go. What happened was, and they worked well together. But they had to understand. He had to understand that was Shaq's team. Now, but in basketball is a difference because you can play two guys max dollars because they already got the structure already set. So you play a max dollars, say, well, everybody getting the same amount of money. Well, that's different. But when you come here, there with this cap, there is no structure of how it is of what the max deals are. You gotta understand. You don't pay the number two guy more than the number one. That's just how it is, man. It's crazy that we're got a situation where no other team, and listen, these other teams wouldn't even do it that way. That's right, they complement each other. And that's what makes them better. And you put them up, and you got a situation where this situation with this quarterback fits George Pickens. This situation with this quarterback fits George Pickens. Now, this may not be the case with CeeDee Lamb. I don't know because we hadn't seen this. It may not be with Chase because we hadn't seen this. It may not be with Jefferson because we hadn't seen this. But when you're talking about the next man up, just about every situation fits you. You don't have 2 or 3 years where it's that you only get 60 catches. Now, did you have? I always say this. See, a lot of people don't follow. A lot of people don't know about George Pickens, but I know about George Pickens because George Pickens was one of my number one receivers for all the years when he was at Pittsburgh. He was on my fantasy team. I guess who could tell you that Big Time Shores in here. If he's still in the chat, he could tell you that George Pickens was on my fantasy team, and I understood when George Pickens had that 1,000 yards. He was on my fantasy team. He got two games. 2 games he had 200 yards, and he had another one 170 in that year because he only had 63 catches. He got 2 games where he had about 600 yards of receiving. The rest of the year, he was 30, 40, big game, little game, big game, little game, very inconsistent. I know because he used to break my heart, and he used to win some games for me, but he used to break my heart as well. Great receiver, up and down. A lot of stuff that he wouldn't do. Everybody talked about his talent. Nobody talked about his leadership or how he could control the game. They talked about his talent. Yeah. But he was, if Big Time would tell you, I knew he can win me some games and then he'll be missing for 2 or 3 games. Yeah. But I kept him my third wide receiver. Why? Because he was a wild card. He could explode or he can give him about 3, 4 catches for about 40 yards. Yeah. That was my wild card. Now, he wasn't the number one wide receiver. I always put him in that third wide receiver spot. Why? Because I had 2 Puka Nacua on my team, I think, in 1 year. So, yeah. And I had the receiver from, for 2 years, I had the receiver from Detroit on my team. Yeah. Yeah. They were my guys. But Pickens was my guy that could be the so that's what I'm saying, man. The tight end spot, all that stuff, man. Look, man, people talk about Ferguson. I think Ferguson had a hell of a year. Y'all talking about Ferguson because he made this, man. Ferguson had more catches, had more touchdowns, and then you got some places where Ferguson was blocking off defensive defensive ends. And listen, the running game was improved a little bit better, and that has become because your tight end block and the second tight end was good. But again, we got to cut down the distractions, man. And I think again how we handle this as a how we handle this situation from the front office thing is the thing. They listen. They understand that they're not going. There's not a team out there that has two well over $30 million receivers or $34 million receivers have two of the highest paid wide receivers in the league. I think the highest paid wide receiver tandem is the Cincinnati Bengals. And guess what? Even though TJ Higgins, listen, y'all want to talk about stuff. Higgins had more to say about him being paid even more for his production, and his playoff production is high. His playoff production is high. Tyrone Church, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. And I want to be very honest with you. CeeDee Lamb don't miss 4 games. Do Pickens make All Pro? So if he don't make All Pro, how we justify paying him $35 million and making him the highest paid receiver on our team? But because I would say this, when CeeDee Lamb got hurt, he was the leading wide receiver. And this is the crazy thing. And we have nobody saying this. Everybody's being very quiet now. But imagine this. Imagine this. And listen, they are it's the market. Again, a market is the market, that kills me about this. I've been in accounting all my life. A market is what other team is willing to pay. Just because you say your market here, that don't mean, listen here, it ain't $35 million in the market at Cincinnati. Pickett's market is not $35 million in Cincinnati. Yes, they were taking, right? For about 12, 15 million, because they already got 2 wide receivers. And they probably got one of the best wide receivers in the league. It's not 35 million at Minnesota. They would love to take him. They would accept him. But their market price for him is not $35 million. Because their job of number 1 wide receiver or number 1 wide receiver money is already taken. Now, it may be $35 million in New Orleans. Yeah. But tell us what's dysfunctional. If this was any other team and they were saying that they had a guy like CeeDee Lamb, and some people talking about CeeDee Lamb top 3 in this league, and that they would pay another guy that comes in there more than they play the guy, it's crazy. Let's look at one of our counterparts. Okay, let's look at one of our counterparts. And I keep giving examples where the examples that prove my point, and nobody else can give me examples that prove their point, right? Let's look at the other counterpart. Let's look at the other counterpart, right? Let's look at the other the other scenario. Let's go to Philadelphia. Devontae Smith had a real good year. They bring in they bring in AJ Brown. They go to AJ go to Devontae Smith and say, hey, this is what we offering you. I think with $25 million guaranteed, nowhere close to the $30 million mark that they was giving number one wide receivers. But they came to him with an offer and said, hey, 3 years, we're gonna guarantee 75 million of it, but this is what we give it because we're letting you know that regardless of your good numbers that you put up the year before, which was 1,200 yards, yeah, and just as many touchdowns that AJ Brown put up. Yep, he did. Look at it. We're gonna give AJ Brown the number one money, but we want you to be here to win a Super Bowl. They didn't play around with the Devontae Smith. They ain't going to talk about, well, let the market go. They came to him straight up and said, this is where you fit in, right? And his numbers, Devontae Smith numbers, is better than Pickett's numbers if you go for 4 years span. Aren't they? But we somehow, hey man, and listen, man, I love George Pickens, and I think Pickens is going to have a great year. I think Pickens is going to be is a very talented, but film don't show me he's one of the top should be one of the top paid wide receivers in this league. Not consistent film, and nobody out there can say it either. Nobody can say that. Nobody can say that. They can't say that. Now we running off numbers, but when we really dig into it, it's like, but I think this situation, as one of the guys was saying on the show, it was said, his complement and his fit in this offense fits him well. What they need to do with him and him on the opposite side of a certain thing with Dak Prescott, I think it fits him well. Will he have to make his game even better this year? Because think about it, and I watched the games too. Do y'all remember this? Do you remember when the team started taking the slant away from him, he struggled? Y'all remember that at the end of the year? Because that means now he's got to diversify his game. That means he's got to add some things to his game. That means that I believe that Schottenheimer feel like, as he always said, that Pickens is just untapping his potential. Why he's untapping his potential? Because there's a lot of players that's just untapping their potential because what they start to do is understand how they have to be more consistent and how they have to be a certain way to get more consistent. And once they start doing that, they start to have more production. This is what Pickens is learning. And we got to understand that this guy's learned that because Pittsburgh, he didn't learn that. I mean, what? Yeah, listen, Tyrone. This is why I say this. And let me get and church with and both of y'all. Let me put both of y'all comments up. You two, CGW. I'm gonna put yours up too because you had a great comment too. Hold up. I want to put his comment up here. I want to put Church comment. Church is right, and I'm gonna put yours up too. Right? Church is right. The Cowboys tried to give him a long-term deal, and I believe the long-term deal was in. I don't even believe it was in $30 million range, but I believe it was in the 27. But I think it was a 2 or 3 year deal where he could have been very good paid and been back at the table when he turned 28, and he probably went and then CeeDee Lamb probably out the door because I don't think they're gonna give CeeDee Lamb 2 contracts. I don't think you give receivers 2 contracts. I think after their first 2 contracts, they're done. I don't think you go to 3 year contracts with them. Only players you get 3 year contracts, I believe, is linemen and quarterbacks. Everybody else, if you get a first year, if you're a number 1 draft pick, you get that second contract. I'm not getting your 3rd year. I'm not getting that 3rd 5 year contract. No, because the production gonna go down. Now we just paying you for what for what you have done. All right. So Pickens about being the board. That's why I said it before. But again, I'm gonna say this too, Church. I think they did try to sign him. I think they did try to sign him, and I think it is agent wanted the best thing for him. And let me tell you why Church his agent wanted that. And just listen, man, y'all got to be honest with it. You know why his agent said I got to get the best amount of money for him right now? Because I know he's staying in Dallas. Because he know who CeeDee Lamb is. He know the guys ain't hurt. They gonna spread the ball around. He's not gonna get 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns in that year. How many teams have two receivers at 1,500 yards? Come on, man. He not know he's not gonna say it. He don't think George is not gonna be a great contributor, but he knows that if he had to be based off his numbers, this is the best number he did for. Well, let me explain this. Let me give this comment. This is a great comment too, because I want to make sure that this comment is out here. He said, when you double the team's best wide receiver, you find out how good your passing game looks. 2 years ago, let me see how short term my memory get. This year, the Dak Prescott was in the MVP running. Then the year before, Dak Prescott got hurt and he went in the MVP running. Do we remember the year previous to that he was in MVP running that year? And I think he finished like second in MVP running. Y'all remember that? Who was his second wide receiver then? And tell me what his numbers were, or what he's significant. See how fast we forget? See how fast we forget? We forget. We so focused on right now. We see what he did this year. And remember, the year before that, he was hurt. But the year before that, he had a hell of a year. They were arguing about he should be MVP. CeeDee Lamb had a great year, an outstanding year. Who was his second wide receiver? Did his second wide receiver have over 50 catches? Say that again, Cooks. And Cooks missed how many games? 2 or 3 games. So he had a couple of games. We had just a pedestrian guy. CeeDee Lamb had what, 1,800 yards, right? Dak was almost MVP, right? And what the offense ranked? The offense ranked pretty high. But we know what we say? We need George Pickens. And we have a better running game now than we had then, right? And we think the running game is going to be even better. Look at, man. Troy Aikman was right when his interview. I think y'all should see it. If the defense is better and our overall consistency of our offense is better with the running game, there's not going to be enough for CeeDee Lamb. No, there wasn't no Cooper. No. Cooper was long gone, baby. Cooper was long gone. Cooper was long gone. Y'all think that's the only way y'all can think it's Cooper. Cooper was long gone. I'm just talking about 2 years. I'm talking about, this was 25, 26. I'm talking about 25, 24. Year 23. Yeah. You don't have some top ranked offenses since Cooper been gone. Long as Dak Prescott been healthy. Your offense only suffered when Dak Prescott's hurt. Yeah. Dak had a guy that was Church know the guy. What's the guy that came in from Green Bay, but trying to make a resurgence of his career? Came play with Dak 1 year, and then he re-signed with Green Bay and got 2 more years out of his game. They thought he was done. They thought his career was over. He came play with Dak 1 year, and Dak got him another semi-good contract. the guy that went on to Miami that left us here was a third wide receiver, and Miami gave him what? And he didn't do nothing in Miami, but he got a 7-year, a 3-year, $21 million contract when he left Cedric Wilson. And he was an undrafted. Well, he got drafted in 6th, 7th round, and he got a second contract. Yeah, Carl came here. Listen, man, y'all talk about receivers. Dak making receivers. And guess who else gonna be at? What's going on? You left Florida stay with Dak long enough. Next thing y'all know, y'all be talking about paying him. And we say, why he got the good grade? We ain't heard no more from my man, no more from Schultz. Who made Schultz? But you know, we say this is the disgrace, because if this was Tom Brady, this was any other quarterback, y'all would be talking about the quarterback, and y'all wouldn't be talking about it. You'll be saying the quarterback, you know, the guy should stay here, and 27 million, 26 million would have been all right. Cause you know he'll make the guy. Or y'all be saying, hey man, give us the next guy up, because we know it's gonna listen, man. And listen, you don't think Pickens know this? Pickens know what Dak Prescott done for him. Come on, man. He know. He know. He understand. He understand. Everybody understand. But this is a distraction, because we got distraction because we don't do it like we don't do it like how we know Florida's not a game changer. How we know? When is it? When he had his opportunity, what did he do? Because opportunities come in less when you got Pickens and what name on your team. Toby got a contract. Listen, you got other guys that the Cowboys ain't signed, ain't getting no contract, but Toby got one. I think Toby is probably the only guy we let go that got a contract. And I'm right by that church. Out of all the guys we ain't signed, Toby the only one that got a contract. So, yeah, man. What's up, girl? What's up, my friend? Great. But yeah, man. Listen, man. We got but distractions, man. And I appreciate that, man. Listen, man. This Pickens thing could be a distraction, and distractions is the root of getting us down. And I'll go back, Toby. Y'all might not see it, but I'm gonna share this again. It's two things I want to share. I want y'all to make sure that y'all in this chat. And Tyrone Church, I want you to look at this right here, man. This is what I want to make sure that everybody see this, man. The ownership, yes, you're right, but the ownership may have been trying to sign Pickens, but when they get up here and they start talking about Pickens and making comments about Pickens, I think that they're doing a misjustice to us, right? I think the ownership is doing a misjustice to us when they get up and they start trying to talk about Pickens in situation. Keep their mouth closed and say, hey, if y'all try to sign him, let's not go into this. Let's shut all the media down about this, because this can be distractions. This is what I hate about y'all, the people that came in late. And this is the first part of my show. This is when I hate the ownership, right? This is when I hate the ownership, people. When our ownership, Jerry and Steven, start that treat the Cowboy star, and they start acting in this terms. And when they start acting in these terms, this is when I get pissed off with them. When they start talking about stuff and not creating an environment that has focus about football. And the star stands for stubborn, tumultuous, arrogant reactions. And this is the Joneses when they get behind the mic sometimes. They're stubborn, that they continue to do the same stuff with their mouths and keep stuff going on. They say tumultuous stuff. They're all over this stuff, shocking, crazy, all this off the hip type stuff, trying to get some publicity. They're arrogant in the way they go about this stuff because they feel that the fan base is beholden to them and they do it any type of way they want, and they're arrogant. And that's how they react to everything. So this stubborn, tumultuous, arrogant reactions, this is when I don't like them. And this type of star in Dallas makes distractions. And distractions kill football focus. I've always said this. If you want to have more focus, right? Limit distractions. Focus kills distractions. Distractions kill focus. So whatever you're gonna have the most of, that's what it's gonna be. If you got, and for our organization, we live off distractions, and it kills our focus on football. So again, I didn't show this other part, but I'm gonna show this other one that I came up with. I had here that I wanted to show on this show because we got rambling on Pickens. But again, we're in year 2 of this. And the year 2 we are living off of, we're in this year 2 of this. And I had a show that I did about this, right? Yeah, we are talking about the upcoming season. And the way you talk about the upcoming season is you build a foundation of how you go about the season. You can't tell by how we're gonna play in the season because no team is fully put together yet. Everybody's at their point right now. We're putting a season together, but you put in certain things that you put in that carry you through a season. These are the things that carry you through a season. In your jobs, these are the things that carry you through your job. When you have that's why organizations and jobs have what we call mission statements. That's why they have stuff that they go about, rules that they go about. They put their stuff in place so they can be productive to get through and get the job done. We're in a second year of this culture build. Schottenheim had to build a new culture. This is the same thing they've been talking about. So you don't want nothing to disrupt the culture. Last year, we were not a physical defensive team. And if you're not a physical defensive team, you ain't physical on special teams, you're not a physical team at all because defense sets the tone. We wasn't a disciplined team because we wasn't a smart team. This team has been talking about putting more smartness on our defense. We've been talking about our high IQ. Well, I always say IQ, football IQ builds discipline. Mental toughness. Yeah, mental toughness. We need mental toughness. Yes, we need to have mental tough players and we need to be mentally tough because physically part is half the battle. Teams that have more mental toughness get through the physical part. Let's put it like this. You can have teams that have injuries, but they get through and have a good season. I look at this. This Detroit team did not win a Super Bowl last year. I'm talking about the year before last year. They didn't win a Super Bowl. They got blown out in the playoffs. But they got a number 1 seed in the playoffs, and they got to the NFC Championship game, and they had more injuries than any other team in the NFL. I think they had 11 players that 9, 11 between 9 and 11 players that they put on injury reserve on the defense. But they got all the way. That it cost them when they got to the final game. The defense ran out, but they got all the way to a situation where they were close to getting to a Super Bowl. So what I'm saying to you is you can have no injuries. You can have talent, but the intangibles are going to take you longer than a lot of places. Most of the talent between every team is minimal. It's minimal talent between every team. Yeah. So you got to have these type of things. And I want to go back to this comment right here. I want to go back to this comment right here. And I want to because I want to make sure that everybody knows what page we on. And I want to make sure that people understand when they make comments like this, they're almost helping me with my thing. And that's what I wanted to show you this here. This comment, great comment here. Great comment. He said Overshown with Caleb Williams, I guess it's Caleb Downs, right? look good together on the field. Whoever, the linebacker, right? They look good on the field, and you can't wait to see them. And this is a great comment. Let me tell you why it's a great comment. He's right. We should have optimism about people we have seen on the field. But these people are what these two guys are a microcosm of exactly of what I was saying about this. And let me go right back to what I was saying. Bear with me. I'm not the greatest winner. Those two guys that you talk about, you say you love to see them on the field. They are the epitome of what I was saying about this right here. They are the epitome, and the reason why you should be excited about them is because this culture that they're trying to build, they build physicality, they got discipline. You know they mentally tough because they got that edge about them. They love coaching and leadership. You can hear what O'Shawn and all of them, they suck up coaching and they're talented. That's why you should be excited about those guys getting on the field. And when you carry these characteristics to the field, guess what? We got a reason to be excited about our football team. But if we don't have that, we really last year when we had some guys that really wasn't disciplined, really wasn't no high IQ players, we seen a lot of dumb mistakes. We had a secondary that wouldn't attack the ball at all, wouldn't tackle with a none. We had those type of things. Man, it makes us really look bad. And you're right. There's a lot of changes going on. Going from a 4-3 to a 3-4. It's a lot of changes. And with a 3-4, one thing about a 3-4, you got to understand. 3-4, you got to be a lot more disciplined than a 3-4 defense. Because you can disguise a lot in 3-4. And if you fast, you can disguise and you can create pressures way more better, a lot better with a 3-4. And you're going to allow guys to get one-on-one blocking across the board. Some of your greatest pass rushers have come out of 3-4 defenses. Why? Because you can design a 3-4 defense where you can only get blocked by one person. It's almost, some people equate the 3-4. You know, I've heard some people in talking to some coaches, because I like the 4-3, but I've talked to some coaches and they describe the 3-4 like the triangle offense in basketball. So, well, now, what they mean by the triangle offense? Well, the triangle offense was good with Jordan and with Shaquille O'Neal and the San Antonio Spurs ran a portion of it as well as the Golden State Warriors. People don't understand ran a similar triangle offense. If you looked at their offense, it was based off the triangle too, but they wouldn't say it because they didn't want about something. They were so old school. But what the triangle offense does is it makes it hard for you to double team anybody, right? And that's what they say that they equate the 3-4 with triangle offense, because you can do a lot of zone blitzes with the 3-4, and you're gonna get those outside linebackers or whatever really matched up on one-on-one blocking, and it's very hard for you to chip because you can overload the side and come. So you really have to balance your offense up to really block a 3-4 because you can come from different areas as well with the zone blitz. So it makes you even up on offense. When it makes you even up on offense where you can't do a lot of chipping, a lot of helping on guys. So you give guys one-on-ones. And not only you give guys on the outside one-on-ones, you give guys like Quentin Williams and Clark one-on-ones inside, which you think you should win those battles. Then when you get a middle linebacker that can blitz a lot, where in this system, the middle linebacker is going to blitz a lot. The middle linebacker in this Christian Parker's 3-4 is going to get a lot of blitzing, and they're going to be a very disruptor. Because you know who was a disruptor last year with the Philadelphia Eagles offense defense? What was me and the names ain't good. The linebacker from Georgia that the Cowboys really went out there in free agency that went to the Raiders. He was a dog in blitzing from the middle. This is what this young guy from Michigan, I believe they're bringing him to be that guy because he has rushing capabilities and he's a dog. So look for the middle linebacker to be a very big part of the blitz package coming this next season. But yes, sir, I appreciate you, sir. Yes, we are talking about the upcoming year. Hope you like and comment, subscribe. Now, all these people, man, all these people that's come into my chat room, please like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, we're not giving up a good. And listen, I've said this last year, and listen, and I can go back. Some people can say that this last year. I'm gonna say something that I last year that I said. People talk about the defense last year, and I think this gentleman made an interesting comment about people being healthy. I equate our defensive problems on first thing continuity. One, he's right. When did we ever have our whole defense healthy? Doing training camp or doing any time during this development part of the year to get them on the field where they're moving together. Never. Butler, we're depending on Butler to be a defensive back. He never even played. We were playing on Diggs. Diggs started playing the first week of the season. Then he was out again. Then Bland was out for 3-4 games. The safeties was out. Hooker was out for 3-4 games. Then when he was out there, he wasn't physical. Wilson was out of game. He was hurt. He couldn't practice. Then we had some Sherelle Ramble. He wasn't even practicing until he didn't get on the field the 3-4 weeks. So when we're and then our linebackers, we bought, even though we got rid of the guy that we brought in from Chicago, he was out. N'Kobe Dean. Yeah, he was great with rushing the quarterback. But I'm talking about the last year's defense. Murray, he was hurt some training camp, so he couldn't get in there some training camp. So we had Clark there. Clark started the season, but we cut him, we let him go. So when were we healthy to get continuity on the defense? We ended the year with 2 defensive linemen that came from other teams. So when we had continuity on defense, that's even better this year because we should have the continuity. Overshawn didn't even play until what, week 3-4. So he didn't get no practice time during the summer in the training camp like we wanted to do to get rhythm. So a lot of moving parts, no continuity. Second thing, we were not a physical defense. Well, continuity sometimes make you not a physical defense because you don't get in a flow with each other. You don't get that when you're confident, when you're moving fast. So was not having a team together, all these injuries, not being together, we played slow and we wasn't athletic. And then you get Elam that came over here that went tackle a great, went bust a great. Then Diggs, yeah, he trying to get another contract. He's not the most physical guy. You take non-physicality, no continuity, and then you have not real good athletes. That's a product to have the worst defense in the NFL. And we close to the butt nigga last in defense. The only worst defense in the league was the Washington team. That's why I say the love Bobby Wagner. But for this team, Bobby Wagner is done. I need to get more athletic. We were too slow. So we got more athletic in players. So we increased. So we did that. So that's one of the things that we did. And if you follow my channel, I had a show. Let me pull up my show that I had some other day because I did a show and y'all making me come up with my stuff that I put in my show. Y'all follow my channel. I told you about the things that this defense is fixing. And I told you as they do them, I said, when they do these things, right? Once they do these things, when y'all start to see these things, I want y'all to give Coach Marv credit. I put out this chart right here. Now it's almost 2 weeks ago. So I ain't just come up with this. Go back on my shows and you'll see what I had there. Remember this? Hey, we got 6 road games, and this is what we in 10 in season. And let me tell you what it's going to help us with this road games. This is how you get prepared to be mentally tough and to be able to do stuff like road games and be a great defensive team that's going to get us through those things. This team, you got to have size. This defensive team they've gotten bigger. They've got bigger players. That's why maybe what Osa was got here. They've gotten bigger. We have gotten more team speed on this defense. Look at the guys we've picked up. We've gotten more speed on here. We've got more versatile players, guys that can play more positions, guys that are interchangeable. We get high IQ defensive players so we can be smart, we can disguise. And with high IQ comes, it comes what? With discipline. Every time you hear these people talk, they're talking about these things. Our coaching staff that can motivate and teach young players. That's why we got a young coaching staff. So they can relate to coaches. They can relate to these younger players, motivate them. And then they always talk about teaching. What Overshawn talked about the other day. Then we got players with a dog edge. Then we get some guys with a dog edge, Caleb Downs, the linebackers, the defensive end, guys with a little dog edge. I know Durant, even from South Carolina State from down here, he got a little edge to him. And then we got players that like to play and accept the roles. We give people accept roles. These are the building blocks that we're going to take that's going to help us on those road games. Our first part of our season is very, very tough. We got a lot of road games in that first part of that season. And that is going to be very, very tough on us to be able to deal with those road games as we go in this first part of the season. So yes, we are really, really trying to get now I gotta bear with me so I can get my screen back up the way I need to get it back up. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm back up. Yeah, so there's a lot of good comments here. Let me see what this comment here. Yes, we got enough. Get it. I got a show coming out about our edge right now. Let me tell you something, man. We're gonna be a massive pass rushing team this year. We're gonna get pass rush from all our line. It's just about 1-2 and putting in. We're gonna listen. A lot of people say the pass rush was bad last year. The stat says that, but I just think that when you have a non-physical, slow defense on the end, and you have historic numbers of guys throwing the ball without the ball going 10 yards down the field because they knew you weren't going to tackle. I went to the Green Bay game. And we gave up 40 points in that game. And some people say we gave up 40 points because we didn't have no pass rush. Jordan Love, I think he completed 31 out. I think he completed 31 out of 38 passes, 31 passes out of 38 passes. He's over 30 passes he completed. Don't he know it only 2 passes went over 12 yards down the field in the air? Yeah. That tells you something. When the first game against Philadelphia, when they only completed 1 pass where the ball went over 10 yards. And they had several games like that where guys just threw the ball short because they knew we were going to tackle. And our defense was slow reacting. You got veterans on the edge. And it's a number game. And here it is, get there. You can't listen here. Let me explain this here, man. Is a Rock going to be a star? I'm just going to say that out there. I'll put it out there right now. And I'm going to tell you what I've heard from inside the room last year. Everybody knows this guy going to be a star because he got everything you need. I'm just going to go out there. You're going to get you're in a 3-4. You need an outside linebacker. Think outside linebacker first. We think about edge rushers. We don't want 3-4. Somebody just said that we in the 3-4. We want guys that can do more than just rush the quarterback. All right, so let's be, and you're gonna be able to put, and you're gonna get guys one-on-one blocks. They're not gonna be dealing with double teams. They're gonna be dealing with one-on-one blocks. Don't worry about the pass rush. It's 1-2. I remember this, and this is another short memory. Everybody remember, and this is not this, and I say it again. Nobody, I want to make sure I preface this, and I want to make sure I say this again because I want people to understand, right? Did y'all remember? Do y'all remember? Now this is not giving Pat and Dan Quinn on the back, but remember Dan Quinn first year in Dallas after we had the worst defense in the league, and Dan Quinn came in. Yeah, y'all remember that? In the chat, y'all remember that year when Dan Quinn came his first year in Dallas when he came in? Please put it, if you're listening, put in the chat if you remember that year. Put it in the chat if you remember that year. That's after we came off of Mike Nolan defense, and we was the worst defense in the league at it. And we couldn't stop it. We couldn't stop on a running game. We couldn't stop nothing. Do y'all remember that first year? That was the first year we had, right? That was Dan Quinn's first year. Yeah, that was Dan Quinn's first year. And that first year, Dan Quinn came in. All right. You know that first year Dan Quinn came in, I think we was a top 12 defense, top 13 defense overall, but we was a top 10. We was a top 10. It was a top 10 scoring defense. Right? Okay. I think he said this, and listen, let me get this thing with my main guy. Been doing a lot of, man, I love your comments. He said he turned our defense around. Do you know in that year? I'm gonna give you something. Do you know that year the pass rushes was a first year starting pass rusher in what's my guy name that went to Denver, that left us and went to Denver, but that was his first year as a starting pass rusher for us, right? The other guy was DeMarcus Lawrence. He was the veteran guy, but the first guy was the other guy. What's his name? What? See, I'm hearing names are good, but he was our first year pass rushing, and he was when we got out of Nebraska, and he had the drug problem, but he was in his first year of being our pass rusher from the outside, and we drafted 5 or 6 guys in that draft. Gregory, right? We drafted 5, and we brought in Carlos Watson. We had Nelson Gallimore, and we drafted Osa, right? And we brought in some linebackers from one guy we brought in was a safety. We brought him in linebacker, and we had 2 good. Curse got his first starting job here from Minnesota, right? Remember Curse? We brought him in from Minnesota, right? And we brought in Cedric Wilson. Not Cedric Wilson, but Donovan Wilson was his first year starting at safety. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that, right? Y'all remember that, right? Right? Y'all remember that? That defense that y'all said he turned it around, right? Is any of those players that I talked about we picked up as some big name free agent players? But did we expect any of those guys? We didn't know what Donald Wilson was going to do. This first year start. We didn't know what Randy Gregory was going to do. It was his first year getting a real start. We didn't know what Osa was going to do. He was a 3rd round pick. Nelson Gallimore was a 3rd round pick. He hadn't showed us nothing. Well, Carlos Watson was a journeyman, right? We brought a guy, the linebacker, to play linebacker. We brought Curse here. Curse hadn't even started no whole season, and we put him at safety. Don't you remember in that year? Do y'all remember that Randy Gregory got hurt early on in the season, and DeMarcus Lawrence got hurt, and they missed 3 games. We was out our defensive ends for about 3-4 games. Y'all remember that? And we had to turn to the Doris Armstrong, and we had to move a Michael Parsons out there, who was a rookie, right? And you know, we was almost leading the league in sacks. Y'all remember that? And you know, Dak Prescott was out, and we shut teams down with all those people. Y'all remember that? Don't you think we got better talent now than we had that first year when Quinn came here? I think our talent way better than that. Matter of fact, in the secondary, when Quinn first year, that was Diggs' second year. He wasn't an All-Pro the first year. That was his second year. We had Anthony Brown. When y'all talk trash about Anthony Brown like garbage, and they turned that team around. Don't you think we got better talent now? Don't you think our pass rushers are better deep, width-wise than what we had then? Better than Dorrance Armstrong and rookie Michael Parsons. He was a rookie. So when people tell me about we need to get veteran edge rushers, look at our roster now and compare it to the roster that went from butt naked last to 12th and led the team and led the team in sacks. And Dak Prescott was out 5 games, and we went 4-1. And we shut down teams like Cincinnati. Now tell me that this defense team don't have better talent than that team. If Dan Quinn could put that together, I got faith that Christian Pop could put this together and be even more dominant for a longer period of time because he got way more better guys than what Dan Quinn had that year. And Parsons is Parsons, but he was a rookie. We ain't talking about Parsons changing the whole world. Your safeties, you had Curse and Donovan Wilson as your safeties. And guess what? Both of them should have made the Pro Bowl that year. Because every time you got great safeties in Dallas, you have good defenses. Check your history if you're a Cowboy fan. And as the safety play went down, Quinn's defense went down. So hey, put some work together, fellas. Just let them people got to go to work. The other guy was saying about talking about this year, just let these guys go to work. I like what they're building. Now they got to put the work in now. There's nothing to get it without putting the work in. And I think we just have short memories. But it's all right because we're trying to get to where we're supposed to go. Man, this show has really taken off, man. Y'all guys have really put some comments in, man. A lot. I got my man Church came back. I hadn't heard from him in a long time, man. My guy here, CW 886253, man. You man, listen, man. Great comments, man. Thank you for supporting Slim. This guy here, man, coming back. I hadn't heard from you in a while. Man, thank you so much, sir, for coming back, man. This is important, man. Regardless of I'm one of those ones we can agree or disagree. As long as we participate because we all got the same product, man. We really trying to win 6, man. But we got to win the right way. And I always say, man, yeah, Quinn had 6-man linebacker, but they were being productive. And when our safeties play went down, yeah, we start faltering. And listen, listen. Let me give you another tidbit. Man, you can maybe get on something else. Listen, man. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell y'all something. Listen, we made the playoffs with Quinn that year, but we lost to Green Bay because we said we had safety playing one name. Everybody blames safeties playing linebacker in that game is the reason why we lost the game. I don't even know why they ain't looking at the same game we're looking at. Their running attack had 100. I think he had 125, 130 yards. He ran the ball 25 times. You know why we lost that game? Because our secondary gave up 4 or 5 passes for over 20 yards with guys wide open. Not on play action passes. If we eliminate the big plays in the passing game, we win the game. The running game don't kill us. Listen, man. Green Bay goes to San Francisco the next week and run for more yards than they ran against us and lose the game. They ran for 30 more yards. They were almost over 200 yards against Green Bay, against San Francisco the next week and lose the game because San Francisco don't give up big plays in the passing game. We giving guys running wide open in the passing game. But you know we focus on? Oh, we had a linebacker. Second best linebacker. And listen, man, I don't even know if we watching the same football game. Again, big plays kill you, man. Stephen Jones, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for the star, man. Thank you for that, man. Thank you for that, man. That helps out a great deal, man. Keep grinding, man. I appreciate you, man, for your comment, for coming in, man, and putting in your comment, man. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you, man. 803, man. We doing it 803 in the house. We pushing, man. We grinding. We keeping on grinding. We making this thing happen, man. Aaron Jones was been a nemesis, man. But listen, man, Aaron Jones, we bottomed up the first half. But listen, man, we gave up some big plays in the passing game. We gave up about 4 passes. Listen, what's crazy about that is we gave up more big plays in that game than Kansas City gave up all year long. And that's why Kansas City won the Super Bowl. But man, thank y'all so much, man, for going. Listen, man, like, comment, subscribe. And man, listen, I'll probably come on again this weekend and whatever, but we want you to like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. If you haven't shared my video, please share. When you share it to other people, man, tell them. And listen, Coach Marv is going to come with a different vernacular, different set of thinking. We're going to look at things in a much different pattern. We're going to look at it from a more realistic situation. Sometimes we're going to talk about some things that may not be appealing to a lot of people. Some of the stuff we're going to talk about may not be stuff that y'all going to consider being fun talk, but we're going to make sure we interact with everybody, and we want you to make sure you understand. Cowboy Nation, please stop this ownership for being stubborn, tumultuous, arrogant reaction. Please, Jerry, please stop all that. Yeah, I remember Bob Hayes, speed galore. Yeah. Now, was Bob Hayes a great wide receiver, or was he a big play guy? There's a difference between being big play and great great wide receiver. I think he was the first of all of being a big play guy. There was another big play guy that didn't play for the Cowboys that I think he finally got in the Hall of Fame, but he should have been in the Hall of Fame. And there's one guy that should be in the Hall of Fame for the Cowboys. Because we're gonna do a show about great Cowboys, because I want y'all to know y'all history. There's some guys. Harvey Martin should be in the Hall of Fame. There's no reason why Harvey Martin is not in the Hall of Fame. The seasons Harvey Martin had is crazy, man. Almost 20-some sacks, over 20-some sacks in a year. Dominant for 3-4 years when they didn't pass the ball as much. MVP in the Super Bowl. I mean, Harvey Martin was a dominant player. Harvey Martin should be in the Hall of Fame. Harvey Martin should be in the Hall of Fame. Too tall a little bit, but Harvey Martin definitely should be in the Hall of Fame. Another guy out of Virginia Union, Herb Scott, should be in the Hall of Fame. Played guard for the Cowboys. From out of Virginia Union, was dominant. Should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, there's a lot of guys from the Cowboys that didn't get in because there were so many great players that should be in the Hall of Fame, along with Darren Woodson. I did a show. Go look at my shows where I did Darren Woodson show, and I talked about Caleb Williams being an even better Darren Woodson. And I think we were looking for that Darren Woodson guy for a long time. And we ain't had a number one defense since Darren Woodson was started in that defense. So, again, man, go back in my, if you're new to my show, go back into my catalog, look at some of the shows, pull up some of my shows. You should get some wisdom, man. We're passing on wisdom, man. Go keep following my other content creators out there, man. These guys do a great job. I'm not going to start naming names, but y'all know the guys that I've been on their shows and talk. They do a great job of their shows, man. They really pushing great ideas. And ideas is always going to be pushed. We may not always agree with every idea, but we respect every idea. It's not always you got to agree with a person. Let's respect the person. Remember, I was always, if I end my shows, I tell you, nothing and no one can stop God's will. And remember that. Remember, nothing and no one can stop God's will. So be able to do that, to understand that, and to understand what I've said. We have went through some very tumultuous times lately with some things that were going on with some people that we deal with in the content world. But it taught us a lesson, and the lesson that we need to be more that we got to be more vigilant with the lesson that taught us. We have to have a discerning spirit in these times. Discernment is the key of your survival in these times. You got to be discerned about. You have discerning spirit about the people you come in contact with, the people you deal business with, people you do relations with, people you hang. Not saying you should be fearful, but you need to have a praying spirit to be able to discern what is right, what is real, and what is fake. That's going to be important in this survival in these times. And the people who have that discerning spirit is going to kind of avoid themselves from a lot of stuff. So please be diligent and get to the source. Your source is not going to come from AI. It's not going to come from Google. It's not going to come from somebody else. It's going to come from the real, what I always say, clarity over confusion. And the clarity over confusion is our Savior, Jesus Christ. Now, if you believe in something else or whatever, you spiritual, whatever it is, that's going to be part of your discerning spirit. Your discerning spirit is what mine is my Lord and Savior. So trying to get better at that, when I want to try to pass that on, because these days of time, there's a lot of fake, there's a lot of good stuff. But remember, stay focused on 6. A lot of this other stuff that's going on is fake, and I hate to say fake news, but it's distractions. The less distractions, the more focus. The more focus, the less distractions. The more focus, the closer we get to 6. And we can start singing that song, We Are the Champions of the World. Have a great weekend. Be very careful out there. Do what's right. And as my father used to tell me, if you ain't going to be right, be good. If you ain't going to be good, be right. Peace.